I would also like to acknowledge and thank my fellow board members and management team for their continued dedication and focus in advancing AuMEGA's interests on behalf of our shareholders. I would now like to introduce my fellow board members. We have our Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Sam Pazuki. We have our Non-Executive Directors, Dr. Nicole Absed-Bell and James Whittle, and our Executive Director and Company Secretary, Carol Marinkovich. Particularly exciting for us today on two fronts. This is our first AGM where we have actually had all our directors present in the room together. And as we're here in Port aux Basques in Newfoundland, it marks our first AGM to be held in Canada. Also attending today, we have our Chief Financial Officer, Ryan Finkelstein, who is here with us in Port aux Basques. And we have Zach Carroll from Grant Thornton, who is our company auditor. He is attending remotely via Teams. Also joining us remotely from Perth is Rod Soames from Computershare Investor Services, who is the company's share registry. And he will assist in finalising the voting process once the poll is closed. Today I'll be providing a brief address to shareholders before we proceed with the formal business of the meeting. Following the conclusion of the formal proceedings, our Managing Director and CEO, Sam Pazuki, will provide a corporate update. It will just be a verbal update. We won't have a presentation to go with that. After Sam's present update, shareholders will be provided an opportunity to engage with the board and the management team. As today's meeting is being conducted both in person here in Newfoundland and online via Teams, I ask that anybody wishing to ask a question please state their name for the record prior to speaking. Shareholders participating online are invited to submit questions through the Q&A function on your screen, and we will allow sufficient time for those questions to be received and addressed. As with people in the office here, we ask shareholders online to provide your name with any questions submitted. Questions relating to the general business of the company will be addressed following the Managing Director's update. Thank you. I'll now move on to my company address. Fellow shareholders, 2025 was an important year in the continued evolution of AuMEGA Metals. Over the past several years, the company has methodically assembled one of the largest land positions along the Cape Race Shear Zone in Newfoundland and Labrador. This is a major geological structure which now hosts one of Canada's most exciting emerging gold districts. Throughout 2025, our focus remained clear and disciplined. That was on advancing our understanding of the district-scale opportunity available to us through systematic exploration, prudent capital allocation, and the continued strengthening of the company's technical and financial foundations. I'm pleased to say we made progress during the year that has meaningfully advanced each of these objectives. Operationally, our team continued to improve its understanding of the geology and mineral systems across our extensive land package. Through an integrated exploration approach involving expansive till geochemistry, structural and geological mapping, airborne geophysics and drilling, AuMEGA has refined its exploration model and expanded the number and quality of targets that are now emerging across the district. Importantly, this work was undertaken safely, responsibly and with minimal environmental disturbance, despite the operating environment we work in, which is both challenging and climatically vigorous at times. Through the field season, we had up to 30 people on site, and I would like to acknowledge the outstanding efforts of the exploration and operations teams for the professionalism and discipline they demonstrated throughout the year. One of the more significant developments during 2025 was the advancement of the Bunker Hill project. Through new geological interpretation and geochemical data sets collected, the company has identified multiple structural corridors capable of hosting both gold and potential base metal mineralization. The scale of the gold and copper geochemical anomalies identified, together with the correlation to structures interpreted from magnetics, has significantly upgraded the exploration prospectivity of this project, and it reinforces our view that the Cape Race Shear Zone remains materially underexplored relative to its geological potential. Arguably even more exciting was the emergence of Alamort granite as a priority exploration target. Historically, this area was considered non-prospective for gold mineralization. and this large intrusive complex has now demonstrated strong gold and multi-element geochemical signatures consistent with a potentially fertile mineral system. The scale and coherence of the anomaly outlined during the year has opened up an entirely new exploration search space adjacent to our existing resource corridor. And importantly, it has broadened our thinking around the district scale potential in southwest Newfoundland. Of these exploration activities, AuMEGA has also strengthened its corporate and financial position. In early 2026, the company announced a Canadian $30 million institutional financing anchored by Condire investors and supported by continued participation from a long-term strategic holder, B2 Gold, along with several other high-quality global resource investors. We have viewed this financing as a strong endorsement of both the quality of the opportunity we are pursuing and the disciplined manner in which the company has approached exploration and capital management. This financing provides AuMEGA with the balance sheet, strength and flexibility required to execute what we believe will be one of the most important exploration campaigns in the company's history. Today, AuMEGA stands at a compelling stage in its development. We have one of the largest land positions along the Cape Ray Shear Zone. We have an established mineral resource at Cape Ray. We have an expanding pipeline of high-priority exploration projects, and we have strengthened the institutional shareholder base to be capable of supporting long-term growth. Importantly, this platform has been built through several years of disciplined grassroots exploration work, strong technical leadership, and a willingness to challenge conventional geological thinking. Exploration success is never guaranteed. Discoveries require patience, persistence, and disciplined decision-making. However, the board remains highly encouraged by the quality of the geological data being generated and the calibre of the technical team advancing that work. Also, the growing support we continue to receive from long-term shareholders and institutional investors. So on behalf of the board, I would like to sincerely thank our shareholders for your continued support and confidence in AuMEGA Metals. I would now like to thank our employees, our contractors, our local communities, our First Nations partners, and the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador for ongoing collaboration and support as we continue to advance this exciting district-scale opportunity. And finally, I would like to acknowledge my fellow board members and management team for the dedication, professionalism and commitment shown throughout what has been a transformative period for the company. We believe AuMEGA remains in the early stages of unlocking the full potential of this district, and we are excited about the opportunities ahead. Thank you. We'll now turn to the formal bits of the meeting and the notice of meeting. I confirm that the notice of annual general meeting, which was lodged with the ASX on the 28th of April 2026, I take it as being read. Voting on the resolutions and proxies. All resolutions will be determined by way of a poll. Those entitled to vote on the resolutions are shareholders, proxy holders and corporate representatives of shareholders. Eligible attendees should have received a voting card upon registration at this meeting. If anyone present here in Port of Ashe believes they are entitled to vote but has not yet received a voting card, please speak with Carol Marinkovich, who will be conducting the poll. For each resolution, the valid proxy votes received by the company as at 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, 26th of May, together with the manner in which those proxy votes are directed to be cast, will be displayed on screen. For the purposes of the poll, I appoint Carol Marinkovich, our Company Secretary, as the returning officer. Carol has reviewed and prepared summaries of the proxy forms received so far and will oversee the conduct of the poll. Shareholders who have already submitted a proxy vote should not note that those votes have already been included in this poll and accordingly do not need to lodge another vote unless you wish to change your voting instructions. I now declare the poll open. And it will remain open until we formally declare it closed at the end of this session. Please note that votes must be submitted prior to the close of the poll and will be counted. Shareholders attending in person who are entitled to vote on the poll include shareholders, corporate representatives, attorneys and proxy holders. Eligible attendees will have been issued a white voting card upon registration. If you are attending in more than one capacity, you will have received a separate voting card for each capacity in which you're entitled to vote. At the end of the time during the meeting, I will ask eligible voters to mark your voting instructions on the voting cards. If you're a shareholder and wish to cast all your votes on a resolution, please place a mark in either the for, against or abstain box beside the relative resolution. If you are a proxy holder, a summary of the votes to which you're entitled will be attached to your voting card. Where discretionary votes are available, those votes may be cast at your discretion by marking the corresponding for, against or abstain box. If it does not include the discretionary votes, you are not required to mark your voting card and may simply hand it to the returning officer at the conclusion of the resolutions. Once all resolutions have been considered and voted upon, please hand your voting card to Computershare representative. Are there any questions relating to the voting process? Any questions online? No. Okay. Proxies have been inspected and all valid lodged proxy forms have been accepted. Proxies have been received representing 222,230,102 shares, being approximately 15% of the issued capital of the company. All undirected proxies or open votes that nominate the chair at the meeting as proxy will be voted in favour of each resolution set out in the notice of meeting, and I have the card here for that. Turning to the proceedings, there will be an opportunity for shareholders to ask questions of the board as they relate to the formal business of today's meeting, being the resolutions. When asking a question, I ask that shareholders in the I'll now move to the formal items of the business. The first order of business is to receive and consider the annual report. I confirm that all shareholders have been provided with a copy of the company's annual report and financial statements for the financial year ended 31 December 2025, including the statement of financial position, the statement of cash flows, statement of profit or loss, and other comprehensive income, together with the director's report and the auditor's report. There is no resolution required in relation to this business item. There have been no written questions received for the auditor under Section 250PA of the Corporations Act. However, representative of the company's auditor, Grant Thornton, being Zach Carroll, are in attendance online here today. I now invite shareholders to raise any questions or comments regarding the financial statements and reports, including any questions relating to the conduct of the audit. If online, you can use the QA function on screen. State your name for any questions. Do you have any questions, Ryan?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you. We'll now proceed to consideration of the resolution set out in the notice of annual general meeting. Shareholders will have the opportunity to ask questions of each resolution after the final resolution has been read out. I'll ask that if in the room you raise your hand if wishing to ask a question. State your name and the resolution number you're referring to. If online, please type your name and your question and the resolution number in the QA section on your screen. And we'll take questions after the resolutions have been read out. We're moving to Resolution 1, Adoption of the Remuneration Report. This is a non-binding resolution which relates to adoption of the Remuneration Report. As detailed on screen, and the proxies so far received are detailed on screen. You can see so far approval of such. I'll now move to Resolution 2, which relates to the election of Non-Executive Director James Whittle, as detailed on screen. Proxies received in relation to this resolution are also on screen. I'll now move to Resolution 3, This is an ordinary resolution which relates to the re-election of non-executive director Nicole Bell, as detailed on screen, and the proxies received in relation to the resolution are also shown on screen. Resolution 4. This is a resolution which relates to myself, so I'll pass the chair to James Whittle for the next moment.
Thank you, Justin. Resolution 4 is an ordinary resolution which relates to the re-election of non-executive director Justin Osborne, as detailed on the screen. The proxies received in relation to this resolution are on the screen. I now hand the chair back to Justin.
Thanks, James. Resolution 5 is an ordinary resolution which relates to the re-election of Executive Director Karol Marinkovic, as detailed on screen, and the proxies received so far in relation to this resolution are detailed on screen. Now move to Resolution 6. This is an ordinary resolution which relates to the re-election of Managing Director Sam Pazuki, as detailed on screen. The proxies received in relation to this resolution are also detailed on screen. I move to Resolution 7. This is an ordinary resolution which relates to the issue of onboarding options for Mr. James Whittle, as detailed on screen. Again, the proxies received in relation to this resolution are detailed on screen. Resolution 8. Issue of onboarding options shares to Mr. James Whittle. This is an ordinary resolution relating to the issue of onboarding shares to James as detailed on screen, and the proxies received in relation to this resolution are also on screen. In strong approval. Resolution 9 is relating to the ordinary resolution which relating to the approval of the Omnibus Equity Incentive Plan, as detailed on screen, and proxies received in relation to this resolution are on screen. Move to Resolution 10. This is resolution relating to the issue of long-term equity incentives to Mr. Sam Pazuki, as detailed, and the proxies received in relation to the resolution are also shown on screen. Resolution 11, an ordinary resolution relating to the issue of LCI equity incentives for Ms. Karol Marinkovic, as detailed on screen, and the proxies also shown on screen. Resolution 12, as this relates to myself, I'll once again hand over to James Whittle to chair of the meeting.
Thank you, Justin. Resolution 12 is an ordinary resolution which relates to the issue of long-term equity incentives to Mr. Justin Osborne, as detailed on the screen. The proxies received in relation to this resolution are on the screen. I'll hand the chair back to Justin.
Thanks, James. Resolution 13 is an ordinary resolution which relates to the issue of long-term equity incentives to Dr. Nicole Bell, as detailed on screen, and the proxies received in relation to this resolution are also shown on screen. Moving to Resolution 14, this is an ordinary resolution relating to the issue of long-term equity incentives to Mr. James Whittle, as detailed on screen, and proxies again received so far shown on screen. Resolution 15 is an ordinary resolution which relates to the reappointment of the company's auditors, Grant Thornton Audit Proprietary Limited, and the proxies received in relation to this resolution are shown on screen. And finally, we'll move to Resolution 16, approval of the Listing Rule 7.1A mandate. This is a special resolution which relates to the approval of the company having an additional 10% placement capacity, as detailed on screen, under Listing Rule 7.1A mandate. The proxies received in relation to this resolution are also shown on screen. Thank you. So that includes the resolutions to be voted on today. And now I'll ask, are there any questions that anybody has in the room relating to the resolutions? No? Ryan, do we have any questions online?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you. As noted, we are conducting a poll on all resolutions, and I note that the poll is currently open. For those shareholders lodging votes today in person, I now invite Carol Marinkovich to collect your completed voting cards.
That's yourself, Justin. Everyone else has voted already.
Everyone else has voted in the room?
Thank you.
Given that all other votes have been received online, I can declare there are no further cards to be collected and the poll is closed. The staff of Computershare will now process the poll and the results will be announced to the ASX once they are available. I'll close this section of the formal part of the meeting. I'd like to hand over to our Managing Director, Sam Pazuki, to provide a company update for those in the room and those online. At the end of this, we'll provide an opportunity for those online to ask questions. And again, we'll ask you to state your name and then your question. Thank you. Sam.
Great. Thank you, Justin. Pleasure to be here. As Justin mentioned, we appreciate the support of our shareholders. It's, I think, a good time to be in the mining industry, and it's a good time to be an AuMEGA shareholder. Also, a pleasure to be here in Port aux Basques with the entire board as well as our staff. This is an incredible team, incredible board. We're doing a lot of great things as we are looking to get the field season started. We are a little bit delayed here as winter has been quite stubborn, as we've seen just from our trip, this recent trip, and the continuation, I guess the tail end here of winter and beginning of spring, but we're hopeful that the field season will be starting imminently. And we are excited for this upcoming field season. We were very successful with a capital raise that we undertook earlier this year, which brought in a number of new institutional shareholders to further strengthen our shareholder base. I've often said that we have one of the best shareholder registers in the industry. I very much stick by that. The institutional and strategic ownership of the business accounts for almost 3/4 of our shareholding. Typically for junior companies, it's somewhere between 5 and 10% at the max. And again, we have 3/4 of our ownership is through institutional and strategic holding. And the institutions are, as Justin mentioned, mainly resource-based. We have a couple of generalist investors, which is again very rare for generalist investors to be invested this early in an early stage opportunity like ours. But they're all seeing what we're seeing, what we believe in. The conviction that we have is very strong. I've been here now for just over 4 years, and after 4 years, I'm more confident that there are multiple big deposits sitting on our land package than before I started. If you look at any major gold belts on the planet, there's usually more than one big deposit sitting on it. And right now, there's a 5 million ounce deposit on the belt that's gone into production in the fall of last year. They continue to make new discoveries, which is great for their project. This is Equinox and the Valentine mine. It's great for them, but it's also great for us. The more they discover, the more it increases our chances of discovery of big deposits on our belt. And we had a chance yesterday to visit our property. It's a large property. It's 110 kilometers on the Cape Ray Shear Zone. Plus we've got Hermitage, which we didn't get out to, but that's 27 kilometers in strike. And I often tell shareholders to just give some thought in terms of where they are today and how far away 110 kilometers is from that point. So it is far, and we're trying to figure out where the next big deposits are sitting. But our strategy is clear. We are looking for the next big discovery on the island, the next mega discovery on the island, the next multi-million ounce discovery. So it's not just Valentine. It's what we can identify on this property. We have the strong treasury. We've got an incredible board. We've got an incredible team. Many of them are in this room right now. I've got complete confidence in this team. They're one of the best teams that I've ever worked with, and I appreciate all their hard work and their expertise. And there's no doubt if there's something to be found on our property, we will certainly find it. We've got the methodology as well too. something that I'm very proud of, something that we've stuck to our guns, is exploring the way exploration should happen. We've got the funding and the support from the investors to be able to do that. It's systematic. It's the only way to properly explore the belt that we have. Again, it's a big belt, much of which has never been explored. We're the 6th or 7th company to own the property in which our resources to us have the same strategy of drilling the same thing, just to please a market, get the ability to go raise money, and then just keep going until the lights turn off and the money you had run out. And every single one of those companies don't exist today. So we have been exploring systematically. We've been growing our pipeline of drill targets. We'll continue to grow that pipeline, and we'll continue to we'll hopefully start the drill season very soon. So we do have a drill program this year, along with the other exploration work that we're looking to do. And so where the backdrop is positive, and when I joined this company 4 years ago, my belief was that this would be the next mining district in Canada. It seems like the one that's been forgotten. Canada is a very mature mining jurisdiction. Newfoundland it's still in the early stages here. I'd say almost in the infancy stages in terms of large scale mining. With Valentine gone into production last year, it's a demonstration that you can have scale and it can be permitted and it can go into production. And again, as I mentioned, we're looking to be the next one in what I believe is the next mining district. Don't take my word for it. The large shareholders also believe that and have that same view. And then when you look at corporations, I mean, there has been quite a bit of activity in M&A, especially within the rising gold price or commodity prices. There is quite a bit of activity that's taken place, and there's been quite a bit of activity taking place here in Newfoundland. And you can see that just with the Valentine mine. It was discovered and advanced by Marathon Gold, who was acquired by Calibre in 2024, and then acquired by Equinox in 2025. And Equinox has continued to grow, announcing a more recent transaction for their business. And then when you look at other transactions on the island, the major corporations have really been looking at where we are. It's the Cape Ray Valentine Lake Shear. B2 Gold has been invested in us for the last 3 years. They had a choice of many other junior companies to invest in Newfoundland. This is a smart team. It's one of the best geological teams in the mining industry. They've made a number of discoveries within their own business, and they've been in business for the last 30 plus years. And they had the pick of the litter, and they did their due diligence, and they invested in us for the last few years, and very supportive of what we have, who we are, and what we're doing. And then the other major that's really invested in the island is Eldorado through a joint venture with the junior that occupies the ground right adjacent to us, so on the same belt. So with all the activity that's taken place in Newfoundland, both Canadian and Australian companies that are operating here in Newfoundland, the major companies, the multi-billion-dollar companies that have a ton of cash, ton of resources to do proper due diligence, have looked at the Valentine Cape Ray Shear and have invested on it and believe that this is the next mining district. And we're fortunate to have B2 Gold recognize the potential of what we have, along with our shareholders, which we appreciate. So yeah, we're excited for this year. As I mentioned, we've got a strong treasury. We've got a growing pipeline of drill targets. We're looking to start the field season very soon and get on with our objective here, which is to make the next big, I should say, mega discovery in Newfoundland. So with that, I'll turn it back to Justin, our chair.
Thank you very much, Dan. Brian, do we have any questions online?
No questions.
No questions? And there's no questions in the room. Given that, I'll take this opportunity, or just firstly note that the results of the poll will be announced to the ASX later today. I'll take this opportunity again to thank everybody for your attendance and continued support, and call the meeting closed. Thank you.